And my training was to work for very large organizations to help them figure out their health data and what to do with it. So basically I was a geek on the health actuarial side. So for 40 years I did that, and I was basically well trained on the data side when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer early last year. And I had had every year my PSA tests and my digital rectal exam, and every year was just very boring and flat. But early in 2014, it became obvious to me that I had a problem. My PSA had spiked. I did a couple of the non-invasive tests. I was told I needed a blind biopsy, and being an actuary, I knew, in my opinion, as a mathematician, that the risks outweighed the rewards. Well, I did a lot of homework, and what I found was imaging is excellent these days. You know, any other organ in the body, you do imaging before biopsy. So I said to myself, okay, I'll get the best 3T MP MRI, and fortunately, Emory is in Atlanta, and they offered that service. They found some suspicious areas. So they then said, okay, we need to do a guided biopsy. I went back to Emory, and they found 3 lesions, but I had a pretty good understanding. No spread outside the capsule, no PNI, but the locations were bad. One was near the urethra, one was near the capsule. So I was hoping that active surveillance would work, but when I looked at the location of the tumors, active surveillance for me in my specific situation would be under treatment. So I looked long and hard at all of my options. But at the end of the day, I said, you know, radiation and surgery is over-treatment for me. So most doctors say you can either do it all or do nothing. And I said, those are not appropriate for me. So I looked long and I found that focal laser was brand new. Now, when I say brand new, it had been done on brains, many livers, many kidneys, MS, and other organs. But it's new to prostate because the imaging until recently was not good enough to look at the prostate. But now that it's good enough, I felt very confident that laser ablation was worth a try. So I looked at outcomes that had been published, looked at clinical trials, and I did my own survey. I actually found 100 focal laser ablation patients and had them fill out an online survey for their outcomes and their side effects and so forth. At the end of the day, I said, okay, am I crazy? What are my criteria for selecting a focal treatment? Number one, if I do it, I must be certain that it preserves all of my future options. If this new thing should fail, I want to maybe be able to do surgery or radiation or anything else. My second criteria is I want no side effects, I want no complications. And if I can find something that preserves my future options with no side effects, maybe this only works for 5 years, 10 years, I kick the can down the road, and if I need surgery, fine, I can do it. I'll be close to 80 years old, or I can do anything else that might come along in the meantime. So that was my thought process. Normally, I choose the doctor who's done the most procedures. Actuaries say, look for the guy who's done thousands of these. That's my bias. But again, I looked around. I was the most comfortable with Dr. Eric Walser, who's at University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston. Now, some of us say, no, in Texas, Galveston. Well, he was formerly chief of radiology at Mayo Clinic in Florida. And to me, he has outstanding credentials and impeccable integrity. And so I went with Dr. Walser, and I'm most pleased that I did. And I've had no side effects, no complications, so I'm delighted. He said, wait 6 months. Do not even do your PSA test for 6 months. They might be real high, you're gonna have inflammation, it's not gonna be representative, so don't do it. So I waited 6 months. So my pre-procedure was 6.0. 6 months later was 1.9. So I was feeling pretty good about that. And then I followed up at 9 months and at 12 months, every 3 months, but my PSA was going from 1.9 to 3.7 to 4.0. My doubling time was about 5 months. And I said, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Had an MRI, and the MRI revealed a specific, tiny 4 to 5 millimeter lesion. Called the doctor, said, look, time to go back to Galveston, time for that little touch-up. And so I went back last week. And my wife and I flew over, had the procedure done, went out to dinner that night, back to normal the next day. So for me, my doctor advised me to have a PSA test, wait 6 months, get a new baseline, and then look at it every 3 months for a while and track it closely. And I'll be doing that starting 6 months from now since I just had it last week. So PSA, DRE, every 12 months, just in case the PSA misses it. Also, do an MRI in 6 months and at 12 months, and then we'll play it by ear. If your PSA is flatlining, we might, come back in 12 or 24 months, but we'll track the PSA very closely and use the MRI to supplement that as needed.